Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey, everyone. Duncan here with another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where I chat with founders and leaders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. So if you've been following along with the show, you know this is an incredible crew of people. They're driven by purpose. They're here to make the world better, and it's my opportunity and privilege to interview them. Today's guest is someone who's blending a passion for farming with a commitment to the planet, delivering snackable goodness with a purpose. Before we dive into today's episode, I'd like to give a big shout out to Firebelly Marketing. At Firebelly, we specialize in helping food and beverage brands use social media to share their stories, grow their communities, and spark meaningful connections. If you're ready to take your brand social strategy to the next level, visit firebellymarketing.com to learn more. So with no further ado, I'm so excited for today's guest, Ladd Wahlen. His wife, Zoe, and him are transforming not just the potato chip industry, but snacks in general. He's the co-owner and co-farmer, as I said, behind Roots Potato Chips. And it's a regenerative, better for you kettle potato chip company, farm to pouch. I'd never even heard that term before. First regenerative potato chip company in the world. And I'm just so excited to have you, Ladd. I could go into all the details, but let's just get started. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Duncan. Very excited to be here. It's just me. My better half, Zoe, wasn't able to make it today, but excited to be on the podcast. Love it. Happy to be here.
No, absolutely. I am so thrilled. I was telling you in the chat we had before we got started recording that I was so excited to find out about you. And we're gonna get a shout out to Josh Sizemore for connecting me with you. Josh is an awesome guy. He's been on the podcast twice. And I was just recently interviewing Eric Gutknecht from Charcuterie Nouveau, the world's first and only regenerative certified sausage company. So so excited to have you. Now, your company is selling in natural food stores. You're in Albertsons in Idaho, Utah, and Wyoming. And you're also, what I think is amazing about your work is you've got non-GMO project certification, where food comes from, gluten-free, glyphosate, residue-free, and bee-friendly farming. I mean, you've been doing this for a minute. Man, what a journey this has been for you. Let's start out by saying how's it feeling today?
It's been such a journey. It's been so exciting and fun and rewarding, but it's been super challenging too. We've done it for a little bit over 3 years, and there's been a lot of ups and downs. We've learned a lot of things. We've had some consultants help us, but we're pretty happy with our trajectory and where we're headed in our direction. We definitely have some opportunities to really grow and turn this into something sizable and scalable. But it's been a great journey. We've enjoyed it a lot. We love to tell our story. Regenerative agriculture is a big part of it. And really what we're trying to do is just make a better product that's better for people, better for the planet, better for the soil. And we can really connect the consumer to the farmer too, which makes us different. But we love to share our story. We think it's been really fun what we've doing. It's been a challenge, but very rewarding.
And I was reading as I was getting ready for the show, you were one of the first Soil and Climate Health Initiative verified products.
Yes, yeah. So they are a regenerative certification. There's a couple main regenerative certifiers out there right now. One is ROC, which is regenerative organic certified. There's Regenified, and then the Soil and Climate Health Initiative is another one. And there's a couple other ones as well. But most of them, they talk about the same pillars of regenerative agriculture and soil health, but they just have slightly different approaches. So the one that aligned most with us was the Soil and Climate Health Initiatives, and that's who we're certified with currently right now, and it's been great. And we've been certified with them for about a year and a half now.
That's amazing. And I wanted to say, as I was reading, all of this started for you in college. You were writing a paper about how oilseed radish cover crops release compounds that suppress nematodes. Is I saying that correctly? and
Yeah.
eliminating the need for chemical fumigation.
Yeah, you have done your research, that's for sure, Duncan. That's awesome. Yeah, if you're talking about our farming journey, that definitely started in college. So one of my final research papers that I did had to do with agriculture and potato production because we're specifically interested in potato crops. But a common practice in potato production is fumigation, chemical fumigation, which basically sterilizes the soil. So it's sterilizing all biological life and basically acts as an antibiotic. It kills all life. So that's kind of a standard approach in the industry because potatoes can be very susceptible to certain soil-borne diseases. So that's why people fumigate. So we were looking at alternatives, and an alternative to that was basically planting a crop like an oil, so basically like a radish. So a radish or a mustard plant, and these plants release biological compounds in the soil that suppress soil-borne pathogens like nematodes. And so this just seemed like a viable option. So this just kind of got my wheels turning in my brain, just thinking, okay, well, how can we improve our farming practices? How can we rely a little bit less on conventional models of farming and improve the soil? And that led me down a rabbit hole, and I've just been going ever since. So, but that's where it started.
I mean, the interesting thing about all of this is, I'm, as I'm sure many other people are geeking out about about all this, but the reality is that the way this touches a lot of people's lives is that they are eating a potato chip that not only tastes phenomenal, but is also done produced with ethics and with respect for the planet.
Yes, exactly. And that's a huge part of our goal. So we definitely want to make sure we're making a product that leaves the soil in a better place than it was done previously. So we implement practices that are vastly different from conventional practices that at the end leave the ecosystem and the soil in a better place than it was previously. And in turn, also give us a potato that we perceive as better quality and that hasn't had any pesticides applied to it, so it's a healthier product in the end for both the consumer, the ecosystem, and the soil. So it's just a win-win all around. And we think it's a good path that we're on, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say how exciting it is. I mean, I was reading that your cover crops, you've got, I think, 12 or 13 cover crops that you're using. So you're using all kinds of crops for and diversity to make sure that you're implementing this. And what's fascinating about that is I think you said that you're maintaining living roots in the ground for 90% of the year. And from my reading, that is significantly above what is typically done.
Yeah. So if you're talking about diversity and root systems in the ground, that's two of the big pillars of regenerative agriculture. And compared to a conventional potato model farm, which might have root systems in the ground 30 or 35% of the year, we have a living root system in the ground up to 90% of the year. So there's a significant longer period of time where we have living biology in the soil that's feeding that microbiology, stimulating it and just helping the soil thrive and healthy. And then in addition to that, like a conventional system might see two different root systems in a single year, a 12-month period. And we're seeing up to 14 or 16 species, which is so many different roots and structures. And I don't want to nerd out too much or become too scientific. But at the end, just diversity is key to building life in the soil, having lots of root systems, different plants, and just keeping life in there. It's vital to that aspect of soil health.
And in terms of the last thing I'll say about the nerdery for now is that what happens for the consumer is that we, the consumer, are getting a crop that is not reliant on fertilizers the way traditional potato chips are.
Yes, exactly. And a huge thing that sets us apart in addition to that is just transparency too. So if you go down the grocery aisle and you buy whatever bags you find, you don't know what farmer that came from. You don't know what farming practices were done to those potatoes. You're not familiar with, what what how they were grown, what products were used or applied to those potatoes. But with us, we're a single source company, so you know exactly how those potatoes were grown, what was applied to them, and we have certifications to back that up as well. So it's we're able to connect with the consumer, give them a little bit of peace of mind, and have that aspect of transparency and traceability that seems so important to our generation and the rising generation. That they really want to connect with the farmer and they want to know how their food is grown. And that's just something we're able to do due to our unique situation that other chip brands just currently are not able to do. And we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I love your slogan, potatoes with a purpose, and that really does sum up your mission.
It does. And that's really what we try to that's one of the real reasons that set us apart is our mission, potatoes with a purpose, and just focusing on those three areas. So really for the snacker, we want to provide a product that's healthier, that's made with better oils, better ingredients. What's so different about us too is we don't use any natural flavors, any artificial ingredients. So we try to just use traditional ingredients you can find in your kitchen and try to make it as best as we can. We don't want a lot of potent artificial additives and stuff like that. So yeah, a big part of our potatoes for the purpose is having a better for you product for the consumer and then doing good for the soil and doing good for the planet and being plastic neutral, reducing food waste, and just doing all we can within our ability to make the world and uh, and make better products for people.
So I have all these like formal proper questions to ask you, and all I can
Yeah.
think about right now is, man, how often do you eat potato chips?
You know, I am the chief sample tester. I'm chief quality control, I guess you could say that. So I'm always sampling them. My kids, nobody wants to promote an unhealthy lifestyle, but the reality is people love to snack. Like they love to snack on whether it's tortilla chips, popcorn, potato chips. So I take it as a personal responsibility to provide a better product. Yeah, I don't think we could promote potato chips as necessarily a healthy option, but it is a healthier option. And if people are going to snack, why not snack healthier and do it as you please? But my kids are probably our biggest supporters. They have a bag of chips for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't know if that's good or bad, but they sure do enjoy them. In addition to their whole foods and everything else that they eat, because we that was part of our the genesis of our product as well is, we're really into whole foods and healthy diets. But we also love snacking. We always snack. You're on the road, you grab a snack, so why not have a healthier snack? And that's where we shine a little bit, I think.
That's amazing. And Lad, you grew up on a family farm, so agriculture is in your blood. What was it like going from not just farming to now producing a product as well and getting into CPG?
So that was very challenging. We just had zero experience in CPG. We were very rural, so we didn't have access to a lot of people that could advise us or consult us or assist us. So we did a lot of trial and error ourselves, and we probably had a few hiccups that we could have avoided if if we had somebody to consult us a little bit or advise us. But it was kind of a whirlwind. And sometimes I wasn't sure if it was going to work out, but the puzzle pieces came together and they worked out. We were able to get everything lined up and it's going well now. But initially it was a challenge. But anybody that does have interest in doing it, I would definitely advise doing your research and finding somebody that is familiar with the space to help assist you to make it easier.
And I mean, there are so many things. There are so many things that make you unique. How often do you come across a another snack, where they're doing it the way you're doing it, where it's regenerative and it's it's farm to table or farm to house, farm to pouch. How often do you see that? I mean, we were trying to find some and we couldn't find any.
Yeah, super rare in the CPG space. Um, Especially, yeah, when you're talking about farm to bag or farm to pouch, there are some CPG brands that do it, and I think it's phenomenal and it's awesome. And my hat's off to them because it's a challenge to be basically to do the end to end in the supply chain because you're the farmer, the supplier, the processor, the marketing team, and all that stuff. So, and there are some. And I think it's awesome, and I think it's great to support them because I think if we want to provide value to farmers and help change or improve our current farming system, the best way to do that is to support brands that are owned by farmers that implement those types of farming, those sustainable practices that we want to see improve and scale.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I have come across after you said it, I realized I have come across some Wagyu products where they're family farms that own them, but certainly none in the snacking space. I was going to ask you in terms of Roots and its just the challenges in the snacking world. What have been some of the challenges that you've had to face, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, so definitely when creating our brand, we definitely wanted to position ourselves or differentiate ourselves from traditional potato chips. And we do that by all our certifications, our story, our uniqueness, the quality of our product, and stuff like that. But despite that, it's still a challenge getting shelf space and competing for large brands that have large promotional spend that can pay large uh, slotting fees and stuff like that. So it's a challenge in that way, and that's probably one of the things that I have a little bit of distaste for in the retail area is it's a little bit of an extractive model and it's different it's difficult for startups and small brands that are trying to make a difference to acquire shelf space and get in there because they're competing with these large $100 million, $1 billion companies. So the revenue is just not there to compete on an equal playing field. So you have to find unique opportunities and unique outlets for your product. And I think that's kind of where we target more independents and maybe chains that value sustainability or regenerative agriculture and stuff like that. So that's kind of where we want to focus on. And where we have such a fun story too, we've seen success in food service too, because there's lots of hospitality venues or restaurants or eateries, sandwich shops that they don't necessarily want a no-name potato chip brand that doesn't have a story or any values, but they want something that's relatable and they can understand the farmer behind that product and stuff like that. So we've seen a good opportunity in food service too, but we definitely want to focus on those channels uh, that help support our brand and our mission. Because we've had tons of opportunities from retailers that have approached us and said, "Hey, we'd love to have you more of a conventional retailer, but the slotting fee is, free fill plus $500 per SKU per store, and that just doesn't fit our model." So we've had to say no to that multiple times. And we're a small company, so that's easy for us to say no. We don't have to satisfy any shareholders or anything like that. So we just want to make sure we're a profitable company and we grow at a good pace with retailers and outlets that are aligned with our values.
I just absolutely love that. And I think that's candidly the appeal to the direct to consumer model, right? Because when you convert a customer to buy directly from you, as long as you remind them that you exist and they love your product, which are two big ifs, but as long as
Yeah.
you do those two things, they're going to keep buying from you.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And repeat customers, I think that's something we've had success with too. Because, like I said, we're not just focusing on the value of our product, but the quality too. We definitely want it to be a great chip that people, regardless that it's regenerative, regardless if it's non-GMO, gluten-free, allergen-friendly, using avocado oil, glyphosate-free, pesticide-free potatoes. I could go down all the values, but regardless of all that stuff, it just tastes good. There's good flavor, good crunch. People enjoy it. Whether it has all those values or not, they're going to buy it. And I think that those values are just the icing on the top of the cake. So,
I mean, that is the wisdom right there because let's face it, how many times have we purchased a product that has got all these amazing values associated with it. And man, you just want to love that product. And then you
Yep.
and then you try it and it's like, oh yeah, it just doesn't do it. You're buying with your mind, but your heart and your taste buds aren't on board.
Oh yeah, completely. And I love the saying, taste is king, value is queen. So really taste is the most important thing in any uh, CPG brand, I think. So, and I'm not an expert, but from my experience, I would say, and it sounds like you would agree with me. You're more of an expert than I am. So,
Well, I wrote that in the notes because I can't forget that. Taste is king, value is queen. And that was an interesting thing. I know I mentioned Eric, who I'm going to introduce you, Eric Gutneck from Charcut
yeah.
Meat. I was geeking out about all this stuff, and he was saying, "Man," he goes, "I hate to stop you." He goes, "But the main thing is flavor." He goes, "Because if we don't hit it on flavor, nothing else matters."
Oh, it's so true. And I'm the same way. I'm guilty of that too. I've seen plenty of value-driven or mission-driven brands, and I say, hey, I want to support this brand, and I try it, and I just immediately say, well, I don't really like that, you know. I might give it a second try, and you just don't get a repeat customer, uh, and so that's what we need to focus on for sure.
Absolutely. Now, and it's such a fascinating story, yours is because you're the face of the brand, but you're hands-on in the fields. And I love your social media. To be honest with you, being someone who runs a social media marketing agency, there aren't a lot of times I actually say that. But I love the authenticity of your content is just it bowled me over with see and I'm thinking Zoe is the mastermind behind some of the humor posts because
How'd you know? Yeah.
I mean, it is so. I love the one where she's like, "Well, I keep hearing my husband's voice," and then you're in the back talking, and it was just. I mean, they're so entertaining. So ever since I started following you, it was like I love to see your post. So I think that has got to be a
Yeah.
challenging role though, because with rewards, you're the farmer, you're the face of the company. All of y'all are really and you're managing this brand. That's a lot of things to do.
It is, yeah. And Zoe has definitely been the face of social media. She plans our social media stuff, and our social media following is pretty small, but we're working on growing it too. But yeah, we try to put out some fair content, and sometimes it's a little difficult to do content in addition to all the other stuff we're doing, but we sure are trying to do that because we know D2C, we haven't had lots of opportunities to do lots of D2C because we don't have enough production, but recently we've ramped up a little bit more production. And so we're going to try to focus a little more on D2C too. But yes, it's a challenge to balance all things, and balancing is not my forte, and I'm trying. But I think part of a startup CPG brand is getting it to a point where it is sustainable and breaking even, if not profitable. So so the founder, in our case, myself and my wife Zoe, can focus on other things, whether that's growing social media or marketing and stuff like that. But getting to that point, the balance is hard, and every situation is different and unique.
I love that you said that sustainable entrepreneurship. That's not something you hear about often enough in CPG. You seem to only hear about people looking for exits.
Yeah,
They're less worried about how they're going to sell when they get into a store and more worried about getting into the store. So you hear, a lot of these stories and Arshad Bal, who is another person I want to introduce you to. He's the founder of Amrita Foods, and he talks about sustainable entrepreneurship. It's like, hey, and, the president of Malk, which of course is a big company, said that what entrepreneurs should be looking for is optionality. It's like you want to have options. It's like, hey, we're not looking for an exit. We're looking for options. Can we support our family? Can we support our employees? Can we sleep? Can we relax? Those are the things that are probably more important than killing yourself to get an exit.
yes, I completely agree. And like owning a CPG brand, I think your 5, 10 year plan is a necessity to think about where you want to be. And so that's why, as far as growing, we've grown at a slow pace because we have our own pilot manufacturing plant. We've been at max capacity, and we're trying to figure out how to fund our next round of expansion, um, and how we want to do that because we don't know necessarily if we want to scale, um, 500% year over year and exit, right? Because we're a farm to back company, and this is a home for some of our potatoes to go to from our farm. So we lean more towards this brand being a legacy brand. So I think definitely having that long term, your long term glasses on, so you know what you desire. So then hopefully the mechanisms that we use to scale will support our 5 to 10 year plan and even longer than that.
That's an excellent perspective and a great way to approach it. I was going to ask you, and if Zoe was here, we'd ask Zoe, but what have been some of the themes or some of the types of content that you've done? I never ask this question, by the way. It's usually, but y'all have such cool social. How have you, what have been some of the things you've seen become successful?
Uh, you know, things that are more relatable. And, we try to promote our chips and we try to, share a lot of day-to-day stuff when we can. But things that are more relatable and have humor are the things that have gone more viral. And we don't have any hugely viral posts, but what's been more viral for our page has been posts that are just more relatable. They're not promotional or trying to sell a product, um, or trying to persuade the consumer to do something, but they've been more just posts that are relatable to your traditional consumer. That's I think what we've seen a little more success with.
I love some of the humor posts. I know that one the other post that caught my attention was the how do you uh, attract a farm girl, and
Oh yeah,
it's the play on words with attract her and tractor, and
yeah.
that was just fantastic. That had over 1 million views. So hey, well done on that one.
Oh, dad jokes are relatable, aren't they?
They are. What do you see in terms of like feedback, from your audience? And do you see kind of the rabid, advocates who will do anything for you and tell everyone they know about you?
In regards to our product or social media, I'm assuming our product.
Product, yes.
Oh, um, yeah. I mean, we have some super avid fans, that use words like obsessed and stuff like that, which we think that's awesome. We have lots of people that support us, I think, because of the values of our company. We get regular customer emails weekly, about people that support us and love our mission. But I don't think they would support us if they didn't like our product. And but we do have lots of people. We have a couple unique stuff and unique SKUs too. Like we do a purple potato chip, which is unique, and some people are just really enjoy that and they love that. And some people love our clean ingredients and our jalapeno flavor or our barbecue flavor, whatever that may be, and they really enjoy that too. So yeah, we've seen good support and following, and we're definitely small and very local and regional right now, but we've had, good support from our consumers and repeat customers as well, which I think is a good indicator.
That's a great indicator. Lad, this is an interesting question I had to ask. You are considered to be a model potato farm by the Nature Conservancy. I mean, that in itself is, it may not pay the bills, but that is an amazing accolade and an, privilege, honor to hear that kind of thing about your own business. As you're doing this, what are you thinking the future looks like? What does the future look like you're looking at? Do you scale? Do you not scale? I read somewhere that you're looking to encourage other farmers to follow your practices so that you can source potatoes from them. The future looks bright.
Yeah, no, we're very optimistic about the future and I think what can potentially happen. And um, yeah, as far as potatoes and our growing practices, we hold multiple field days on our farm and we invite, regional growers to come and ask questions. And we don't know everything, but we know certain things, and we have other professionals there that can help add their 2 cents as well. So we'd love to. But one of our missions is really to help expand that. The Nature Conservancy, they've been a great partner and they help us reach out to other farmers and show some of our practices and stuff like that. And then as far as Roots potato chips, we definitely think we're very optimistic about growth and potential and what can be done there. But just trying to figure out what we need to do to get to that point. So, like I mentioned previously, just finding that the adequate funding sources, whatever that may be, or potential partnerships to get us to that point where we have more processing capacity because we're just not a good suit for a co-packer because we have to use our own potatoes. We have, strict ingredient requirements. So we're just not a good fit for a traditional co-packer. So being able to find the appropriate funding sources to help us scale our own production facility and meet what we think is the demand is part of our plan. But we're just trying to figure out how to do that. That's a little bit difficult to navigate, but that's currently what we're working on.
Now, this is amazing work you're doing, and you're also kind of setting, you're setting an example for so many people who could never imagine working with their significant other, right? So you work together, you live together. What do you guys do to make sure that you're looking after yourselves?
That is a great question because I definitely think relationships can be put in a difficult situation with starting a small startup CPG brand just because there's so much time that's required and needs to be dedicated to building it. So we've struggled with that. We've tried to find time, and we always play. We love to play. So, and when I say play, I mean if we're going water skiing, or we're going to go snowboarding, or we're going to do a family outing or stuff like that. We always try to schedule play dates and dates. Try to spend time with your significant other too. I think is super important. We've struggled with that a little bit our first initial couple of years, but now this past year things has started to flow a little bit better. So we've had more time to work on that. But I think either way, as a startup CPG company, I think that's something you have to be aware of. There's going to be a sacrifice of a certain amount of time and events and things. And I think that's just something that an entrepreneur has to be willing to sacrifice for a period of a couple of years. It will get better eventually. It should. If it doesn't, you're probably not doing it right. But I think up front, that's something to be aware of. There's definitely a sacrifice of time that's needed. But now I think it's a priority, definitely to have that time with your significant other and family because you don't want to get burnout. You don't want to get burnout. You don't want to have issues down the road. So definitely balance your time as best as you can. And we're working on that.
I love that. I'm gonna take personal inspiration from play dates for significant others. That is a wonderful way of looking at it because why should children have all the fun? We deserve to have some fun too. So, that is a wonderful way of looking at it. I guess what are you just open question, what are you excited about? What are some other things that you're wanting to talk about?
Um, an open-ended question. We're as far as what we want to talk about, I think we've talked about most of the things, our mission, our product, our family farm, our story there, and we're pretty happy with our situation right now. We're excited to grow it. We're very optimistic about the future. We can always use advice and consultation from people as far as growth and marketing and stuff like that. So I think that's a great thing to touch on. But I think you've touched on most of the topics, Duncan. You've done a great job.
Well, I really appreciate, personally, just was so excited about this episode and recording with you because of the tremendous philosophy and the ethics that you demonstrate and the belief in people and the planet. There's just so many things there. Of course, I know flavor is what matters most. But at the same time, I just was like so impressed and so thankful to Josh Sizemore for connecting us. What an incredible discussion, Ladd. Your passion for farming and sustainability just shines through. It's not just a product for you. I can see that it's a movement for you.
Well, thank you, Duncan. We appreciate that. We appreciate being on the podcast. It's it's been great.
And everyone who's listening, if you're as excited as I am, visit rootschips.com and listen, take the step, order the product directly from them. I mean, you will be very happy. Your taste buds and the earth will thank you. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, follow us at Firebelly Marketing to stay up to date on the best mission-driven brands in the food and beverage space. If you know someone that should be on the podcast, we definitely want to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep snacking smart. And one more time, thank you so much, Ladd, to you and Zoe and your family for making the world a better place for all of us.
Thank you, Duncan. We appreciate it and wish the best to you and your family as well.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.